Should be up and streaming. Let me tweet this out fully. No, I don't want to watch it. Bring me back to Twitter. So today I am planning on doing a recap, redo of the Angels podcast or live stream for Monster Madness, which I realized I just did not update the title of that. Let me go through this. Nerdologist presents Nerdologist podcast live stream Monster Madness Angels. The point of these Monster Madness ones, creating campaign ideas around monsters that you'd be less likely to use. This week we're doing Angels. Thanks, Webfinity, for following me. Let's see. You are a business spam account, it looks like. Thanks. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that. So instead of going following them, just stay here watching this podcast. So I had previously done this, but the audio went missing on it. I'm not sure if I didn't have something hooked up correctly or not, but it looks like we are picking up audio this time, so that's good. No. Let's hop into a little bit with these monsters right here. Sorry, I'm adjusting so I can read a little bit better. But the monster manual, there are 3 different types of angels, and this is the toughest, the Solar, challenge rating 21. Then we have the Planetar, challenge rating 15, and the Deva, challenge rating 10. So depending on how far you really want to go with sorry, my phone's beeping at me. I'm gonna put it over here so I can't reach it. So you can really decide how far you're going to go into any campaign simply by choosing, and you don't even have to specify ahead of time which angel build you want to use. Let me see, I think it's right here. So if you have 4 characters and they reach 8th level, 8,400 points, XP points. So Planetar, that'd be a little bit too easy for the Deva, too hard for the Planetar. So looking at this, 4 characters, 7th level, that's when you'd face the Deva. Let's try 12. 4 characters, 12th level is when you would face the Planetar. And finally, 33,000. So 17th level, one monster of is a hard encounter. So that's just kind of thinking about how long you really want to stretch this out, and a lot of it would depend on how quickly you want to level up your characters, player characters, or what level you want to start at. But my idea for a campaign, angels, these do fit into the good guy good guy category. They are lawful good. Every single one is going to have lawful good at the top there. So how do you make a campaign around lawful good? Oftentimes you're trying to create your characters to be the heroes of the story, and if they're going to be the heroes of the story and do something really heroic, you don't necessarily want to go with evil. Oh, and I should point out that I am using, to show you these angels and and their stat blocks and everything, this is D&D Beyond. Currently it is in the beta, and the first part of the beta, I signed up for that. I think there's still time to sign up for the beta, but go to D&D Beyond and dndbeyond.com, and you're going to find a compendium of DM information, player information, spells, items, monsters, and then a form for feedback, which I should use sometime. I've mainly just used it to look up stuff thus far. So when you go about creating a campaign, you have obviously just go with an evil campaign. I'm not going to go into details as what you could do for an evil campaign. It's really just the flip side of running a good campaign with demons. Run an evil campaign with angels as the bad guy. They work opposite of each other, so you have that little bit religious aspect going through it, stuff like that. But I think that's like the easy way out, and I think there's a really interesting campaign idea that you can pull out from angels. The first thing you kind of have to do is identify if there is some player and some player character in your group that is going to latch on to a more religious theme if you tie it to them. With all these ideas, obviously, you have to have buy-in from your players before you even start it. If you don't have buy-in from your players, then it's going to fall flat no matter what you try and do. So start out session 0 as people are building their characters to be like, hey, I want to do some sort of a game where there's going to be a deity that is wanting to destroy the world, destroy a section of the world, something like that. Does that sound like a game that you guys be interested in playing? And that's what this game is gonna be. Most likely you're gonna get, yeah. It sounds like that epic fantasy kind of. I mean, save the world is always cool, and you can always drop in a malevolent deity. However, in this case, we are not sticking in a malevolent deity. We're sticking in a good deity. We're sticking in a deity that is sick and tired of humanity just being a bunch of idiots and screwing everything up. They're sick and tired of humanity being evil. So they send an angel. So the angel is a herald of a good deity, letting people know the world, and I won't go with world, letting people know a section of the land is going to be destroyed because people are not pleasing the deity. Spelled it right the second time. Not deity, deity. Hopefully that's low enough now so that it can be seen. So that's kind of your launching point at this point in time, is the fact that not quite low enough. is the fact that, hey, there's this angel that's going to be telling them this. I'd be tempted to start out your characters a little bit higher level, maybe third. Third level, I generally consider a good spot to start because you have your skills anyways, especially for players who already are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons. If they know how to play, have played before, you don't need to start them at level 1 or 2 start them at level 1 and then move up. Because basically, level 3 is when all your characters, all your classes start to really feel like their class and not feel as generic. And if people are already familiar with D&D, going straight to level 3 means you have a good chunk of abilities. It's not too many if it's not class you're familiar with, but you have a chunk that you can start with. So starting at level 3, have a religious figure or so we'll have a priestess brings players to the angel to hear a message and to plead their cause. Now, all your characters do not have to be good characters. You can definitely go with neutral characters in here. I would lean towards having at least one PC that's going to be tied into the religion or into the deity, at least loosely, or even into the religious pantheon of the area. So maybe, Louise, what are you doing? Yeah, the cats are being weird. I really want a picture of that. Simply because then you have a tie-in and something that you can jump into with. It's somebody who's going to buy into this. And if they agree to this in session 0 when you create your characters, be like, yeah, we want to play this type of game, they should probably be fairly willing to follow along anyways. I don't believe in railroading in terms of like, this is what you have to do, you're stuck here, you don't have any other options. Give players options along the way, but if you're as a player, you say, oh yeah, I really want to buy into, like, I want to play this game and buy into this story, don't just drop the storyline later and be like, no, let's do something completely different, because you already agreed to this. If you're having troubles buying in, talk to the DM about it. Don't just drop it and completely sidetrack it. The DM probably is going to be willing to work with you to keep the story interesting and relevant to you. So anyways, you have, after that little rant, you have the priestess who brings the players to the angel to hear the message, to plead the cause of the area, and to be like, hey, we're not all bad. And the priestess can even, the NPC priestess can even lead them into this and be like, we're not all that bad. Here are some of the good people. And at this point, you can have the angel says they don't want to destroy everyone. This isn't necessarily a direct contradiction to what their deity is telling them. They know that they're going to have to destroy the area. But the angel would prefer, and the deity most likely would prefer, which is why they're giving this warning, that the area cleans up its act. If they clean up their act, then you might not have the punishment come down. So have the angel say something along those lines, and this should only take the first session, first couple hours, maybe, probably the first hour, because the players are obviously going to have some back and forth. Your players might even decide this is a great time to attack the angel. because they're players. You attack everything. That's how it works. They have a great sword for a solar. We have a mace. We have a great sword. Simply let them get knocked out. Like, and don't knock out all of them. Like, knock out one of them, and then look, they all have healing touch. So have them knock someone down and be like, no, we're giving you a chance, don't screw it up, sort of thing. And at that point in time, now the angel kind of becomes a quest giver for the next chunk of your arc, which is really most of the rest of your game. So as the characters level up, and you continue playing, the angel, it should have a handful of quests, probably 3, maybe 4, where the characters have to go take care of some big evil in the area. So let's go. Angel is quest giver, gives 4 quests of a large evil in the area for them to prove / cleanse evil from the area. So first off, this is going to mean that the angel's kind of delegating your players to do the work for them. Like, get rid of the really evil parts, and instead of us just wiping out everything, you can maybe save stuff. And don't give them all the quests at once. Give them one quest, especially to start out with, that they have to prove themselves with. Prove themselves that they are pure of heart and good, and they can do this quest. But here's the twist. Behind the angel, wherever they're meeting at, and I would kind of make it this celestial foyer, where maybe this angel is in the or connected to the temple of their deity, and there's an access point that basically takes you to the celestial realm. The little foyer doesn't really seem to have any doors. Players can't wander around, or it has giant doors that are just too heavy for the players to move. But in the room, there's a scale. And the scale, the balance right now on the scale should be heavily weighted to one side. And I would have like let's start heavily weighted to one side with large black balls of what looks like coal. And as the angel gives them the quest, have the angel start to remove those balls from the one side and set them on the floor. And this can be a point in time where the players don't explain them what these are, but the players aren't going to figure out really fast, like, oh, these are the bad things. Like, we have to at least get this to a balance. Like, we have to make sure that there aren't so many balls of coal that the scales are still against us. So now you give them the 4 quests, and the players are going to be like, well, or you give them a quest, and the players can be like, okay, we got this. So like, if we do this quest, it's probably going to put the ball on the other side, which is going to balance it out. It's not that huge of a twist. It's not something you're really hiding from the players. It's just going to be a cool visual representation of what's happening in the game. So as you as they go through quests, put opportunities to do good in front of them or around them. It doesn't have to be always overt. In front of them or around them, where they have a chance to do a good thing. So how this is going to work, in my brain anyways, is you have a situation where they're going to go through these quests. These quests are going to be like these giant diamond globes that are going to be put on one side of the scale when they successfully complete the quest. However, by doing like 3 random good things, or 2, let's say 2, or even 1, I don't know. You would have to decide for yourself. I'm still fiddling around exactly with how this idea would work, but you can just pick a number of how many other good things they have to do, and that will put another ball on the good side, so that good side can build up that way. However, on the other hand, other hands over here, can't see it in the picture. On the other hand, if they miss these things, and maybe it's like they have to do 3 good things to get one of the crystal balls on the one side, but if they miss 2 of them, there gets to be a black ball, that coal ball, that is put on the other side. And consider this as well. If your players kill somebody who they don't need to kill, say an informant who has been helpful to them, but your players are worried about them going back to the bad guy, or not even kill him. Maybe they torture him to get the information, even though he would have worked with them. When your players do bad stuff like that, especially overtly bad stuff, or if your players even, say your big bad guy has a fortress that your players break into, and your players then steal stuff off of the bad guy once he's dead, but also from around the estate, and maybe the guy's just using the estate, maybe the guy's using somebody, has mind controlled somebody who owns the estate, and so your players are stealing from an actually good character, except for the mind control. Think Theoden in the Two Towers with Wormtongue. Put those things, keep track of those things, and have visual representation the next time the players go back to the angel. Like, the bounce starts out for the players completely level. Both sides are level, and then as they do good, this side gets heavier, this side gets heavier. As they do bad or miss good, this side. So let it kind of bounce out, and let it be a visual representation for the players of how they're supposed to play this game. Like, you're dealing with a good deity here. They're not going to be happy if you kill off random people who don't need to die just to get the one really bad guy. So that's why you only give them 1 quest at first, because if you give them all 4, let's say, they might do all 4 before they come back and not realize how the scales are working. And so you give them that 1 quest. If they don't seem to quite have it, give them 1 more. Force them to come back. Tell them that there are 4 tests that they have to do to prove that their land is clean, and give them 1 at a time. So as that bounce works, this is where you can have some fun. If your players are like, let's kill the bad guy, and they rush straight through, not caring who they hit, and they kill the bad guy, and they come back, but they've killed like 6 other people. Make the scales really unbalanced, make the angel really pissed off, and have the angel tell them, like, this is not acceptable behavior. You cannot become the evil that you are trying to stop. Or not even so many words, just have him tell them, you have failed this first test. You have one more test to prove yourself. Dun dun dun. Ominous. Now the characters are going to be like, wait, we finished this quest. What did we do wrong for it? And they're going to try and think, and they might realize, like, oh, well, we can't just kill everybody randomly. So have them go through that second quest. I always give them the second quest to try and kind of balance the scales out again. If they fail kind of on that second quest, they've killed unnecessary people, they've missed all the opportunities to do good things, make the scales really unbalanced. And then when they come back, and if your players are level, let's see, they have a 5900. Say your players are level 5. It's a deadly encounter, but it's not super deadly. I mean, it's probably going to kill them all. There's a pretty good chance it's going to kill them all if they have to fight them when they're 5th level. But they have a chance to win because it's not too far off, and if they're clever, maybe they can find a way to do it. Maybe they can find something to stop the Deva, who's going to attack them and tell them that, he's going to tell them that, hey, this is sorry, you've screwed up, guys. Like, you're proving the point of the deity. You're not good. And the Deva could send them back out into the world, or have the campaign end early with an epic boss battle of the Deva versus your whole group of players, and make the Deva pissed off. By that, I mean the Deva doesn't have to use the optimal strategy. The Deva is going to be annoyed and sick and tired and just like, no, this doesn't, like, you guys are idiots. Why are you doing this sort of thing? And have that epic boss battle. So that's one way you could end, like after two quests. Let it end early that way. And if your players, say at the end of 2 quests, are instead level 7, it's a hard encounter now. Go up to the Planetar. Never give them a non-deadly encounter if they fail. The reason for doing that is if they win, it's that much more epic. If they lose, or if they win, it's that much more epic because it's going to be really tough. If they win because they're level 7 and they beat a Deva, that's kind of expected for them. Like, that's what they should be doing. So don't give them that. Make them work for it. But odds are they're going to have figured it out. They're going to have kept the scales close. Maybe they'll find out, like, they'll come back and there are 3 or 4 crystal ball, like 2 or 3 crystal balls on one side, and there's 2 coal on the other side, and they'll be like, what happened to get those coal balls there? Like, they're going to ask, because they figure they probably want to keep these scales tilted in the favor of good, and have the angel explain it to him. And not like, well, you miss seeing this guy, or you tortured this guy, or you killed this guy. Yeah, have him. Don't give him the subtle ones. Have him be like, you killed that guy. He did not need to die. Or have the Deva simply be like, you killed someone who did not need to die. They were not an evil person. And now your characters are going to be so much more hesitant about killing someone who's not the person that's the big bad guy of the quest. You could be, but then send them on a quest where they have to take out a cult. Give them a bunch of people, but make it so they have to figure out who's a cultist for sure. Like, they can't just rush in and start killing people. Give them that little bit of a challenge. So then, once they've completed all 4 quests, look at it this way. If the scales are even or leaning towards bad, the Planetar, Solar, or Deva is going to attack and wipe out the land. If it's in their favor, have them save it. If it's really heavily in their favor, have them save it and get rewarded for it somehow. And like, this can be the first arc to a kind of cool campaign, or, well, who knows what you're going to do after this, but it can be your first arc to a campaign, or it can be the whole campaign. Just give them a reward at the end that's something so big and so powerful, it's coming from a deity, that they then get to narrate how they become legends. So even though there isn't this one climatic battle, which can be anticlimactic if it doesn't go well, or you don't pull it off right, even though there isn't this one battle at the end, your players are going to feel like legends. Let them just narrate what happens to end this game. Like, what becomes of them in the next 5 to 10 years. Or, better yet, be like, all right, so we're ending this. Have them roll up new characters if you're going to be the person running the next game, and narrate as they're doing so, if you have an idea for what the next game is going to be. And by the time you know that this one's going to be wrapping up, you're going to know it's going to be wrapping up, and you're probably going to know ahead of time how it's going to end. Let it go that way, and let it end. Have your players roll up new characters and narrate them back into the same world 100, 200 years later, where their previous characters are now legends, are people of legend, because of saving the land and because of the powers they got. Like, the saving the land probably isn't going to be a blip on the radar anymore, but they're going to be these 4 epic figures who have these powers. Now, there is a third option to end it. The first one is they fail, which is if it's even, or there's more coal balls than there are crystal balls. They fail, they have to fight against somebody who's probably a little bit too powerful for them. The second being, they succeed, and there's more crystal balls by little ways, and they become legends. The third option, which could be an interesting one to play around with, especially if you want to keep it, if your characters have been keeping it a little bit gray. Like, sure, they've been doing the good stuff and killing off the really bad guys, but they've killed a few more people than they should have. Have a showdown with the angel, being like, congratulations, you have saved the land. You have improved the land. There are only 4 evil, 4 creatures, because they're an angel. They're going to call humans creatures, or people creatures, elves, dwarves, whatever. There are only 4 left in this land that are causing trouble. And your players are going to be like, who's that? And the angel is going to be you. Now, as compared to failing, where it should be a really epic encounter of the angels stronger than them, put this one on the even playing field. So, if it's a Deva, they're level 7 or level 8 even. I mean, let's just shoot through the math here. Level 8, calculate. It's still hard, but it's barely hard if they're level 8. So have it be a hard battle, but have everything else be a deadly battle. So now your characters are probably going to win. And what does it mean when they beat an angel? And just kind of, when they win, wrap up that story. If they lose, they still, there's a halfway decent chance they're going to be like, we understand. Like, we've done some messed up things because you told us to, but if the land's going to be saved because we're not there, we'll be fine with that. So, those are just some really, I think, unique ways that you can create a story, create a campaign around an angel. And honestly, it's a campaign idea that I'm keeping in my back pocket to run at some point in time. I'm not sure when, not sure where, not sure how, because people can always look this up and have an idea of exactly what I'm going to be doing. That said, most people are probably not going to. So, and I can always throw in another twist of some sort. So there we have it. That is my idea for a campaign for angels. I have been your Nerdologist host, Petter. You can find me on Twitter at the Scando, or on Twitter at NerdologistCast. Also, check out the articles and our podcast of Dungeons and Dragons, which is our D&D 5th edition actual play podcast, which is some of the reason why I'm diving into these monsters so much, is because it's going to allow me to hit on stuff that I wouldn't normally use in our podcast and probably trigger ideas for our podcast itself. With that, be sure to leave a comment, like, or subscribe if you enjoy this video, and hopefully as time goes on we'll be improving the quality more and more of these videos. Thank you for watching,